Hey, Cyamak Ashtiani, coming at you with a new lesson I like to call techno arpeggios. Now, the reason I call them techno arpeggios is because they are very similar to the arpeggiators that effect that you hear in floor-to-the-floor dance music nowadays, techno music, so to speak. What you've got is keyboards, okay, that are basically, the arpeggiator effect is you'll basically, set a keyboard to a certain setting and then you hit one key, and whatever that key being, it'll begin the root note for an arpeggio that is, grouped in all different types of patterns. Now you find these plugins on like Pro Tools or any other recording program, as well as built into keyboards and whatnot. Very prominent in dance music and techno music, and even the kind of floor-to-the-floor rock music you hear nowadays from Pink, 30 Seconds to Mars, like bands like those that are doing very modern stuff. And I like to actually simulate this with the guitar. Now what we've got here is basically I am outlining major and minor chords, double picked, doing 2 octaves of them. And what I'm going to show you is figure A. We've got an A minor chord that is outlined like this. Okay, so what that is simply this, slowly. Okay, now we're actually starting on the 5th. So the 5th of A minor being E. We're doing 2 octaves of this. The first octave being, and the second octave being. Okay. Now, figure B, we have the same concept, but over a G major chord. Okay. Now, slower, that would be. And again, the first octave of that G being, the second octave being, and again, that also, that doesn't start on the root either. That would actually start on the major third, which would be a B, major third of the G. Anyways, moving on, figure C actually takes these concepts and arranges them where we're actually kind of doing a chord progression. We're outlining a chord progression, and what we're doing is we are taking the chord progression from the song Simple Man, Leonard Skinner, and which is basically C, G, and then 2 bars of A minor. And what we're doing is just outlining the chords. You'll notice that when you're utilizing these techno arpeggios, the best way to go about it is to, if you're going to be moving along very quickly from chord to chord, is to stick to 1 octave when you're moving about, because you're going to notice that when you get to climb into the second higher octave, to get back to the lower notes, the lower register, when you're at a certain tempo, like say 160 clicks, it's going to be very challenging to do that cleanly without any kind of interruption, depending on what tempo you're doing these in. So let me give you an example. I like to stick to the lower octave with the Leonard Skinner song. So, see how I stuck to the lower octave? Now, figure C is basically, mixing and matching the 2 octaves. I'm doing the first octave of C, the first octave of G, and then I'm doing the full 2 octave version of A minor. Now, check this out. Okay, so that is Simple Man, and slower, basically I've got it. So that should basically give you a good idea on how to utilize these chords. Go ahead and expand these chords to pretty much any other key maybe even do major sevenths. With a little bit of music theory, you can probably do all different types of exotic versions of these arpeggiators using exotic chords. And I hope that this lesson has helped you. And we'll see you guys next time.